Hey, Mike here with Big Guns Barbecue, and today I am going to show you how to cook my favorite thing in barbecue, specifically when smoking, and that is a brisket. Now, I did buy the big brisket, and it's just massive. It's like this big, but there's only two of us in the house, myself and my wife, and I kind of like what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it up. So I cut a section off. I cut kind of the flat off so it's easier to manipulate. This is what it looks like straight out of the package. Now, most people will show you right here, you're going to see how thick the fat cap is. They want you to trim this off. The reason is you want to just get that smoke to penetrate and so on. So I use this knife, this cutlery knife, and it's unreal. You've got to go get it, but it's really good. But now the thing is I'm going to save this fat too, by the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this just nice and easy, and I'm going to be careful because this knife is as sharp as it gets. I just look for some thicker pieces, just kind of trim it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this fat, and it's actually going to render while I'm smoking in the smoker in a little bit of a pan. And then I'm going to use that when I do the wrap. So let me trim this and I'll show you the next part. Okay, so I basically just took a little bit off. There's more of the fat on the bigger part of the meat, but so what I have is I have this right here. So what I'm going to do is I like to go fat up when I cook. I do like to use a binder. I typically just use mustard because it doesn't really affect the flavor at all, but it allows me to get it nice and sticky so that when I put my seasoning on here, it adheres to it. That's the word I was looking for. Adhere goes like adhere. So I typically, what I like to use is I start with salt, which is just, this is the big thick kosher salt. I put a pretty liberal amount because this is actually a fairly thick piece. So since you have such a thick piece of meat, you can actually go heavy on your seasoning due to the fact that when you're slicing it, you're only going to get a little bit of the portion. It's going to come with the bark that it gets on here. So let me just get this part done. Season this up just on the salt. I'll show you what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. So the one side, how I do everything on one side, then I'll finish it up and show you the rest. So this is what I do. I liberally put the salt on here. I then use some coarse black pepper. I have a pretty thick granules on here because I kind of like the flavor of it. It does come out pretty big, just like that, nice and thick. And today, my last thing that I add just a little seasoning to, this is the honey barbecue or honey bacon barbecue by Meat Church. It's got a really nice bacony sweet flavor to it, but it's not overwhelming. And it's just more of a kind of a light glaze I'm going to put on here. So I'm going to just kind of fairly liberal on that. So what I have is I got it all nice on here, and I just might do just a tiny little soft pat. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over and finish it off. Okay, so I finished seasoning it all around. I'm going to probably let this rest for maybe 15 minutes or so. Sometimes people actually will dry brine these in the fridge. You put all your seasoning in and leave it in overnight, which is fantastic. I'm in more of a hurry because I want to eat this afternoon, and I got to get it cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you when I put this on the grill. Okay, so now that I let it rest, these were the fat scraps that we're going to put here. And I just have a little tiny aluminum foil pan that I'm going to throw away as it's done. But I'm going to leave this in the smoker as well. And you'll see as it renders down, it'll get the liquid. And I'm going to use that when I get ready to do my wrap. So check this out. Okay, so I got my smoker running at 225. I'm using hickory pellets because they just seem to give me enough good smoke. 225 is kind of a low and slow cook temperature. I typically, what I like to do is I know my where the heat is now. This I'm just going to kind of set over here to the side, and this, because it's a little hotter on this side because that's kind of where the heat comes out of the chimney, I typically set the fatter sides of my meat. Now I am going meat side down right now. I got fat side up. I'm going to let it cook like that, low and slow. I probably will flip it over, but literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it and forget it for quite a few hours, probably good 4 hours before I do it. I might spritz it once or twice, and then I'll show you about the wrap. All right, so I've had this cooking now probably about 5.5 hours. And now I'm going to wrap it. I checked the internal temperature, and it's getting a nice bark on it. I did keep the fat cap kind of thick myself because I like that juice to go into it. And what I use meat hugger butcher paper to wrap. So I'm just going to rip a nice big long piece on here. I typically spritz it with water. Makes it a little easier to maintain and fold up when you get it. So I put just not a ton on there, but enough. And then I got some meat gloves that keep it from burning my hands when I go in here. So let me fire these up. And like I said, I have a small piece. This is just a small brisket, okay? So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just wrap that over. I'm gonna fold that up. Fold that up. Wrap it tight. Like that. And I'm gonna do it twice. So I sprayed the first one to get it tight. I do spray a little bit on here just to get it kind of a little bit loose. Fold it down, fold it over, and I try to keep it nice and tight. Oh, I didn't wrap it. It is a nice table. All right, so I got that nice and tight. I'm gonna set back on here. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go play racquetball, and then when I come back in a couple hours, that thing will probably be up to about 200 degrees. I'll be able to pull it off, let it rest. I'll show you that. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, so I let the brisket just kind of keep on baking in there. And I came home after playing racquetball, which is fun. And I have this thing called a barbecue meat blanket that's similar to what you would have if you dropped it in a cooler. A lot of people like to rest their meat. So all I gotta do is zip this up just like this. And I'm just gonna let it rest in here for probably, I'm hungry, so it's not going to be in there very long. But once it is, what it's going to do is it's going to just kind of rest and allow that the moisture and the fat to kind of absorb back into the meat. Now that I got a good bark on it, and then it will be eating time. So I'll show you that in a minute. All right, so I started this project like 9 hours ago on a small brisket, like I said, and I had it in here resting. And now, for the moment of truth, we're going to put it on the, what do you call it, the cutting board. I'm just going to open this up. Look at that. That is. I am going to slice it like this, lengthwise. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. And there you go. Look at that. And you can see the juice. Oh my gosh, and that seasoning is fantastic. So I've got to try some of this. Oh, man, I love a good brisket. This is fantastic. Anyhow, you got to try this. Do it sometime like this. Really can't mess it up if you just let it take its time, cook it. But it is so worth it. So go do this. You're going to love it.